Welcome back to the University of Life. Today we're discussing 5 different strategies, and you can find one that fits you in order to become the person you want to be, live the life of your dreams. So 2 prerequisites are, first, to have some idea who that is, who you want to be, what you want to do, what your ideal life might be like. And second, it helps to at least consciously talk yourself into believing in yourself to some degree, like that you could do it. If you really tried, you could succeed. You basically got what it takes. You can do a better job than some of the other people out there succeeding, so why not you? And that's where this video kicks in, because conscious conviction like that, that's valuable, that's important. But it's your subconscious that controls the levers of emotions. And these are really the things that usually when you try and stretch your comfort zone and expand your awesomeness beyond where it's been before, that subconscious pulls on the brakes. It's trying to protect you from risk, but really what it does is basically ruin your life because it makes it so hard to do what you want to do. That's what this is all about, really, is the ability to do what you want to do. Because when you do, you become the person you want to be, and you get what you want. You get the life you want. So here we go with the 5 strategies. We're going to start with the most audacious, and I'm going to say the most recommended. If you can do this number 1 strategy, if you can launch into it right now, do it. It'll be awesome. It'll be impressive. It'll be inspiring. And it'll probably be good for you in almost all cases. So strategy number 1, the awesomest of them all, consists of 3 simple words, which are go for it. Just dive in, give it a try. Here's the great thing about strategy number 1. You don't even have to succeed. You don't even have to do a good job. Even if you crash and burn, you can have such pride that you had the courage to even try. And there's no better way to talk your subconscious mind into believing that you can do it than actual evidence of having tried it and exercised that courage. You'll get a new self-image as somebody who goes for it and tries it and exercises courage. And if you can do that, you will be unstoppable. So that's a really good way to live your life. Sometimes there is some risk, however, or a lot of people are not ready to go for it because that fear really is quite persuasive, even if it's all an illusion. So if you're not quite ready for that, then let's move on to strategy number 2, which I call run to the edge. And to illustrate this example, it's basically to decide you're going to go for it and go for it, but right before that commitment move, right before it really matters, you can stop. You're not committed to that yet. So if you want to post a video on YouTube, you make the video, and then before you upload it, you can decide whether to go forward or not. Chances are, if you get that far to the edge, you tricked yourself. You tricked your brain into charging through all those fearful barriers, those imaginary problems and risks with a lot less fear and trepidation. You probably performed better because, let's be honest, when you're really terrified of something, it sometimes can adversely affect your performance. And you might get there and say, you know what, that was okay, let's go for it. And you hit that upload button, or you speak whatever it is you wanted to say, or you stand up, whatever it is. So run toward the edge. It gives you the chance to face those fears and can increase your confidence. As your comfort zone expands, your fears recede. That's the way it works. The only danger in this one I'm going to caution you against is don't get in the habit of doing this one too much and then never taking that last step. Or what happens to you might be like what happened to Beth, who is the girl I met in high school when her family's houseboat parked near the houseboat my family was renting down at Lake Powell. And so me and my friends went over and met the girls, her and her sister Dawn. And the next day we showed them our 50-foot cliff right in between our houseboats. And Dawn wanted to jump off, but she was afraid. So we gave her the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And when we hit 0, she took 3 or 4 running steps and jumped off. And it's so much fun. It's illegal now. You can't jump off that high of cliffs because so many people die. But you fall for a long ways and you hit the water and the surface is warm, pleasantly warm, but you punch a deep hole and you get down to where it's cool and it's refreshing. And then she swam over to the edge where there's a ledge and walked back up to the top of the cliff. A couple of us jumped off right after and came up with her. And Beth wanted to do the same thing, But she was also scared, so we gave her the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And when we got to 0, she ran to the edge and she stopped. And we're like, no worries, we'll do it again. And we counted her down about 10 times. I don't remember how many times. And then finally, we counted her down. She ran toward the edge. She stopped, but she had too much momentum and she couldn't stop, and she fell over the cliff. And the last second, she gave a little feeble push the best she could, and she dropped. And that ledge I mentioned went underwater a little bit. She didn't have enough clearance to miss it. Luckily, she just grazed the edge of it. She got a big bruise on her thigh. We were all so lucky nothing worse happened than that. And so what I'm saying is, if you get in the habit too much of like running towards the edge and stop, number one, you might make a habit of that. Number two, it doesn't make it as real. So remind yourself, someday you're going to take that leap. This is real. That makes the fears real. That makes them facing them so much more exhilarating and effective for reducing them and replacing them with courage. Did you know there are two kinds of courage? I realized this recently. I was teaching some teenagers about this, about heart. And I realized the first kind of courage is well known. And this is when you act despite fear. And that is admirable. That is awesome. That is impressive and inspiring. If you can be that kind of person, if you are, kudos to you. The second kind of courage, I don't know if it's less inspiring or amazing, but it's certainly more pleasant. So I would rather have this kind. And this is when you practice exercising courage so much that you come to expect success, or at least ability to try, and that failure is not final, it's not so bad. And so courage, or the fears almost are gone. So this kind of courage removes fear. That's a good kind of courage to have. So, and the way you get there, of course, is trying facing your fears, the first kind of courage, until you learn that about yourself and you live your awesomest life possible. All right, if you're not even willing to do that, or if you're not in some circumstances where you're able to kind of practice run to the edge and pretend you're about to jump off, then let's jump on to strategy number 3. And this one is totally safe, and this is just to think through the experience, like plan your steps, imagine what it would be like going through each one, and as your familiarity increases, so does your comfort zone, and then as your comfort zone expands, your fear recedes. That's the way it works. And this, you could basically call this exposure therapy, where first you face something willingly in a perfectly safe environment. Nothing bad can happen till your heart feels a little more comfortable with it, and then you actually take some little tiny step toward it, and your courage grows and it gets easier and easier. And it's kind of nice. On one hand, it's really nice that if you take enough time to build up to jumping off the cliff, to taking the leap, to doing whatever it is you want to do to live your life of your dreams, it's a lot easier and it's more comfortable. But I'm not going to say it's the best way, because having some courage is so exhilarating, it's so rewarding, and it's so empowering. It's something that stays with you and you'll have for the rest of your life, for next time you face something scary. People will look at you differently, they will treat you differently, opportunities will open, you will see more options around you that were always there, but you just never noticed because maybe they seemed too far out of your reach. But when you have courage, suddenly they're there and you can take what you want. So that's option 3. Fourth is just always a good idea, and that is get some support. So ask some trusted friends to help persuade you that, yeah, you can do it. You've got what it takes, that you can succeed if you try, and that because you want to try, you should do it, and support you along the way. Maybe they'll say, you know what, we think you're not ready for this and you're going to fail, but boy, will we admire you if you try. That'll be awesome. And we're still here for you no matter what, and we'll love you just as much. So really, there's no risk. Just go for it. Good friends like that are good to have. If your friends aren't able to do that, if all they do is tear you down and joke, I don't know, do what you want, but maybe see you guys losers later. I'm gonna go find me some real friends and find some, or develop some of those people as well. Hey, on this note, let's talk about the anti-supporters. Let's talk about the critics and the trolls that have overrun the internet. Here's the truth. They have not overrun the internet. Most people out there are good and decent people, but the trolls and critics are the really loud ones, and we tend to notice them, don't we? So what you do with those is you just pay them no heed. Instantly delete their messages if you can. Hide them on your YouTube channel so no one will ever see what they have to say. One strike policy. It's not your job to help teach them how to grow up. You do not have time in your limited life to deal with people like that. You don't have to justify yourself or anything. You just delete them and move on, living your best life and get the support that's going to help you get there. I mean, if you want to develop a thick skin and stuff, there's a lot of strategies. I'll make other videos about that in my How to Change the World course, but mostly just ignore them and get on with things. Instead of paying them any attention, take Theodore Roosevelt's words to heart instead, when he said, "The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer." There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride in cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to criticism of the way others do what they themselves do not even dare attempt. There is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty. And let me tell you, if you're exercising your courage and trying to make your world better for everybody else, whatever, to try and overcome limits, that is great and lofty, and so are you. So that's how you should think of yourself as you do this. All right, we've got one more strategy, and this is for people who cannot face any discomfort, and they don't want to live their dreams and take those risks until really there is no risk, until it's just really easy. And yes, we do have a method for you as well. If this sounds like you, if this sounds like the approach you want to try, then what you do is you take all your dreams, all your plans, all your visions of your greatest self, of who you could be and what you could accomplish and what you could gain if you would only try, if you'd only face your courage. You take all those, you open up a shoebox, you put them inside. You take that shoebox, you walk up to the attic or some closet in the back of your house, and you set it way up there on top, where you won't see it again for another 35 or 40 years. And when that time comes, you're gonna be looking for something else. You're gonna find the shoebox, and you say, "Hey, I remember this." You're gonna open it up. You're gonna look inside, and you're gonna remember who you might have been if only you had been willing to face a few fears, to stretch your comfort zone, to give something a try, even try and fail and then try again. All the life that might have been that wasn't. And if this sounds too tragically sad to even imagine, then you are the luckiest person in the world, because I have some very, very good news for you. 35 years from now is when they invent the time machine, and 40 years from now is when it becomes inexpensive enough that lots of homes have them. And in your future, you actually get one of them, and you come back to this moment right here, right now. It turns out there is no multiverse. There's just this one stream of time. And so, of course, you have no memories of your first go-around because it hasn't happened yet. The only fact we know about your future is that you believed that you could do better the next time around with a second chance. And now here you are standing in that second chance. And so the only question left to you is, what are you going to do about it?